Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. My name is George Wolf. I am not Lower Paxton Township's manager. I am filling in for Manager Gutshaw, who is unable to attend this evening due to the birth of his second child. So with that being said, congratulations to Mr. Gutshaw, and I will be filling in for him this evening. Tonight's business meeting is relatively short. There's one item of old business, that being action on a resolution authorizing the submission of a grant to the Pennsylvania Commonwealth Finance Authority for a watershed restoration and protection grant. The project is known as the Stonebridge Project off of Colonial Road. Under new business, there is action on a resolution authorizing the disposition of specified municipal records in compliance with the Pennsylvania Municipal Records Manual. It's our retention and disposition schedule. Then there is approval of a proposal by Approved Code Services for the renewal of its contract for services to Lower Paxton Township, providing Pennsylvania Uniform Construction Code services, basically building inspections and plan reviews. This proposal provides for 1 or even 2 additional years of service. Under subdivision and land development, there are no plans this evening, just normal improvement guarantees for the board's consideration. The board will conclude with payment of bills, and that completes my summary of tonight's business meeting agenda. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Wolf. Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the April 16th meeting of the Lower Paxton Township Board of Supervisors. We'll call the meeting to order and ask everyone to please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance, which will be led this evening by Mr. Chrisman.
Please stand. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. We will move then to the approval of minutes from the meetings of November 20th, 2018 and December 4th, 2018. Is there a motion to approve those minutes?
Mr. Chairman, I'll move we approve the minutes of November the 20th, 2019 and December the 4th, 2019 as prepared and circulated.
2018.
Yeah, there's a misprint on the agenda. Those are from 2018.
Oh, okay. Thank you.
Would you correct the motion?
Absolutely.
We didn't get to November yet.
Well, I was
Shelley is extremely efficient. She has the minutes of November and December for this year all done.
I was excited. I was going to find out how I'm going to vote in November.
Yeah, I don't
Well,
know.
since the minutes have been prepared, I'm sure you'll see how you voted.
We have a motion to approve the minutes for those two meetings. Is there a second?
Second.
Seconded. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Before we go to public comment, I would like to announce that the Board of Supervisors met in executive session prior to the meeting tonight to receive information from the semi-retired township manager and from the solicitor, Mr. Stein, and we thank both of them for that. And with that, we'll go to public comment for an item not on the agenda tonight. Would anyone like to address an item not? Yes, sir. Please come to the podium and give us your name and address. Which may be difficult.
Is the mic on?
And
It's
turn the-
Richard, Marblehead Street, Lower Paxton Township.
Your name again, sir? I missed your name.
I'm sorry, I have very hard of hearing.
That's okay.
Last name?
Your full name.
Yeah, Richard Smee.
Richard, okay, thank
Yep,
you.
sorry, guys.
I didn't hear it. That's,
Totally apologize.
thank you, Richard.
Yes. And I'm here to talk about the feral cat problem that I have on Marblehead Street. I'm sandwiched between two people who are feeding two massive colonies, and there are at times 70 plus feral cats. I've called the police. The police tried to do some things. They recommended TNR, a lady that does that. It does not seem to be working. I have a lot of problems with them. We wash our car every single day, and there's dirty cat prints everywhere on it. I have an English bulldog. Every day I let him out, he's like Pac-Man, gobbling up his, things that dogs do every single day. The veterinarian is not happy with it at all. He wants me to come here and speak with you guys to see if we can get the ball moving again. I know it was on the agenda a few months ago, and you dragged your feet and it didn't get anything done with it, and I'm just here to get the ball rolling again. I have lots and lots of problems. I guess I'll just start talking about them. I have a problem with piss ants, and I called Terminex and Uric. They've come multiple times, and I say I still have a problem with them. They come back, spray again. Eventually, they give me my money back, and they say that the problem stems from the feral cats eating the bugs and the birds and the reptiles. Oh man, I mean, 22 of them I pulled out from the bottom of my home that had died during the winter, and I was only aware of it because my bulldog was going bananas. And last week we went to Costco. As we're coming back from Costco unloading, the cats are surrounding us and leaping into the car and tearing out our groceries if we don't close our door. Last year, my friend bought a new BMW, came to visit. We took it for a little joyride. Smells great, everything's cool. We go in the house for a drink. When we come back, he unfortunately left his window down.
Oh, no.
And a big tomcat went in there, walked all over the interior, and sprayed the dash and the steering wheel. It's just been an ongoing problem, and it seems like it's just confined to my little area.
No,
I
it's
go
not.
all around, I don't really see too many problems, but on Marblehead, you definitely have a problem. Where I'm at, they don't allow any outside feeding of wildlife, no bird feeders, no nothing like that. But the other people are continuing to. I spoke with them to try to straighten it out. That person's grandmother started feeding those cats probably a dozen years ago, and he's just kept up with it. The lady from TNR, she comes every 3-4 months, and there's usually 15 to 20 new cats that are there. And it seems like you got to have an army of these people to be out to have that work. And as far as I know, there's only one person that is currently doing it. I called the Humane Society, and they say that there's nothing they can do for me, even though they're only 2 miles away. I guess they don't have a contract with Lower Paxton Township.
Yeah, we do.
Yeah, I mean, there's just a lot of problems that go past what you would think if you're not in my situation, That's it.
Well, let me say there is not foot dragging, and there is not a need to restart it, because this has been an ongoing issue, and we have dedicated a rather significant amount of staff time to this. The first goal was to ascertain whether or not TNR programs could make a difference, and we are in that process. Our difficulty is we have, and our township manager just over the last 2 weeks made 40 calls to different organizations trying to find a place where we could take the cats to. Nobody will take them.
Well, I spoke with the Humane Society, and they told me that it is against the law to take a feral cat that has been TNR and relocate to a new area, and it is against the law for them to euthanize them, even if I pay for it. So I don't know if that's true. I called a property lawyer because I was referred that this is a property lawyer case, and they won't even they won't hear me out, they won't nothing. They just keep passing it along to another lawyer. I'm not eloquent enough in my speech to argue for this, and I need some help. And that's it.
Well, be assured that this is a problem we are very well aware of, and efforts are underway with various organizations to try and get a handle on it. We'll see over the next couple of months whether that works.
Yeah.
If it doesn't, at that point, we're going to have to consider other options. Unfortunately, we haven't been able to find a relocation site or a group that will relocate.
What is your address, sir? Tell me your address again.
4408 Marblehead.
All right, can I real quickly, I mean, the chairman kind of laid it out, but just,
Yeah, there was a bunch of things that I was uneven aware of, like, did you guys know in the whole year of 2018 that over 10% of the rabies cases were feral cats in the state of Pennsylvania? Yeah, that's
Where-
a lot.
where-
Like,
where-
I thought it was just like bats
Well,
and
What is
rats.
the source of that information? That
There's
would
a
be
lot
most.
of problems that my
it's probably,
veterinarian has told
but
me
let me
about.
just tell you what, can you hear me okay?
Well, hold on. If you could get us the source of that statistic, that would be most helpful to us to know that.
Yeah, it's on my phone.
Okay. If you would, after the meeting, or email us,
Yeah.
I would like to know the source of it because
Yeah, it tells you for each county, you know, foxes, raccoons, bats, cats.
Yeah, and that's been good. Obviously, there's a public health issue that we've been trying to address through this. This has been going on for a while. It's now getting more attention than I think it's ever gotten in the township, and but I know it doesn't mean a lot to people like you when cats are,
Yeah,
doing what they're doing, but
trash, and then the real wild animals come.
what we tried to do is we came out and said enough. So we proposed a outright feeding ban. Then all the TNR folks came out and said, you don't have to do that. We can come up with a plan where we can help these people and we can do it in a humane way and we can do our trap, neuter, and return. And through the years, the numbers should go down. And
They followed up on that.
we're in the midst of doing that. So like when you say one or two isn't going to do it, you need an army. That's what our plan. We're trying to, but we need to set up the rules, the parameters. But we are actively forming that even as we speak right now with the volunteers. And we're going to, like you said, we're going to have to get as many volunteers as we can. We'll coordinate it. The Humane Society may say you can't take them and relocate them to another residential area. I understand that. We would love if there was a private property, a big farm, someone who would take high numbers of them. We would love that. We've been looking and looking and looking, and we can't find it because we've spoken to several property owners who are in your situation, and we are desperately trying to get them relief. So
So I'm not the only one.
Oh, no, we have at least 3 other chronic situations. I'm sure there are even more than that. You are definitely not the only one.
I didn't know. All
well,
right.
we want to know the
This is a
chronic
major-
one.
this
That's
is a
why I want to
major
know
problem.
that's why I wanted to know your address, because we need to know.
And another thing, I was just curious with the township ordinance, you guys have written in there for dogs and things like that. Why are cats not included with that?
Good question.
Well, we are looking at a
police,
new ordinance.
They kind of strong-armed me into going the TNR route because they didn't want to press charges. I mean, are the charges too steep? Because I don't know, like they're
Fines and
claiming to me
stuff.
that it could be like a $600 fine for each
For what?
instance.
For what?
And when you have a bunch of them, that's thousands and
I guess
thousands
for-
of dollars, and you can't go that route.
Mr. Smee, Mr. Wolf just told me it's a state law for dogs, but they don't have a state law for cats.
Okay,
Yeah, and if I may, are you on the internet?
I'm sorry.
Are you on the internet?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, on our Facebook page, last week it was posted that Best Friends Forever was on our Facebook page, and we did the advertisement. You can go on there and get in touch with them. They're working on a trap, neuter, and release program, and their information is on there. And also, we do have a contract with the Humane Society. Unfortunately, they do not take feral cats.
No, they do not.
Yeah,
I spoke
yeah, but
with
we
them
do
on
have a
that.
contract, with them for domestic cats. It's very hard to tell between a domestic and a feral, and of course for the dogs, but we do have a contract. But if you get on our Facebook, you'll see it's Best Friends Forever, and there's information that you can contact them, and they're working on the trap, neuter, and release program.
Hey, I appreciate your time, guys.
Okay.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Thank you.
Okay, well, thank you. Yes, this is an ongoing source of discussion and effort. So hopefully we're going to be able to get something substantial accomplished over the next couple of months. And I see Mr. Murphy approaching the podium. Good evening.
Good evening. This is the last meeting before we have our next meeting on May 2nd, and of course our big event on May 4th. And I wanted to come in just to remind everybody, I don't know if you've had a chance to notice, but we've made a change in the lobby. The first case in the lobby is now remnants of the B-26 that crashed into Blue Mountain, also part of the story. So if you haven't seen it, stop by on your way out and take a look. You'll find actual parts of the plane. Now, in our May 2nd meeting, we're going to have an update and tell about the crash again. So if people in the audience or any of you folks would like to join us in this room at 6:30, our new meeting time, we will be explaining again, David Doyle, who has been working for a year getting information on the plane and on the pilot and the crewman that died in the crash, and also Bob Thomas, who was the one that actually found the site and helped recover some of the parts you see in the cases. And they're going to go over the accident again. Then on our big day, May 4th, we're joining with R.J. Harris and Congressman Perry, State Representative Andrew Lewis, and our own veteran who sits on the board, Mr. Zumas, who will also be up on the stage telling about and helping us memorialize the men. I did want you to see tonight, this is the proof, and is only 66% of the size. The actual memorial will be 1/3 larger, and it has on it the article that was in the Patriot in 1951, and then on the other side is the updated information that we have found about the plane and about the crew. Also, the 3 crew members are pictured, well, actually 2 are pictured. We could not get from anywhere a picture of the 3rd man, and their obituaries that showed up in the paper. Pictures of the plane and the cockpit, and also some accident pictures. So this will be what will be up on Bright Bill Park at the very top next to Heroes Grove, so everybody can see it. And there'll be an arrow at the top pointing to where the accident occurred on Blue Mountain. So we want everybody to be aware that we're going to be unveiling this on the 4th with R.J. Harris.
And Joe, can I ask, is any luck at all tracking down any relatives?
Chris, we tracked down 2, actually. Dave was able to track down a cousin and an uncle, I think it was, but neither one of them are going to be able to appear. It's tough coming from Ohio to here. Now, one of the relatives is in Pennsylvania, and we won't know until that day if they do come. The problem is the wife of the pilot was the only married member, and she remarried, and he had a son and daughter. The son had just been born, and he also passed away. The son passed away at age 27, the same age as his father when he passed away. And his daughter, who's in her 60s, we've tried to reach but have had no luck with information. Now, we've been contacting, Dave has taken care of contacting Ohio, all different branches. We even found out that a university in Ohio had something set up to memorialize one of the crew members, and they were actually still give a scholarship every year in his name. And that's been there since 1952. That was for I think it was Wilcox, but this is all on the plaque when we put it up. But as far as other family members, they just aren't around anymore.
That took a lot of work, just for the family hunt. That took a lot of work, and thank you very much for that.
Yeah, Dave has spent a year in hunting everything down, and we all sort of had different parts. I actually went after the plane and tried to get more information on that, and actually was able to see one. We thought we might even have a possibility of one flying over, but that didn't work. But we're going to have, there are two of these planes still flying in the country.
Wow.
But they're both on the West Coast. But we are hopefully still having a World War II plane fly over at the end of the ceremony. That's what we've been working on.
Joe, is that going to be before RJ's celebration or after?
This will be right after the celebration. What we'll do is we'll have, RJ's going to be the large part. We have about 10, 15 minutes of his total hour.
Okay.
And then we're going to go over and say a few words and unveil it. We'll invite everybody over. And that's only going to be 5 or 10 minutes.
Okay.
But we'll have a tent set up with parts of the plane there so people can see parts. And then Dave and Bob will be there to answer people's questions. We do have a couple reenactors that are supposed to be there. That are World War II reenactors that have actually been looking for uniforms that were worn by these pilots to be there with us. So there has been a lot put into this. So we've been getting the word out. It's been out to all the news agencies and all the print, and also they've been helping us over in Reading, where the Air Museum is. They've been also passing the word about this. So the word's out.
RJ's been talking about it on the radio as well.
Yeah, RJ is a huge supporter of this, and we're hoping, I'm going to twist his arm this week and try to get him to our meeting on the 2nd, because I think if he hears the whole story, it'll be even more amazing.
Great.
Good.
Thanks, Joe.
Thank you, Joe.
Thank you for your time.
Would anybody else like to address the board on an item not on the agenda this evening? Okay, seeing no other public comment, we'll now move to chairman and board member comments. The chairman has no comment, but we have a couple of board members who were at PSAT, so I suspect you might have some things to say.
Yeah. I'll start out with that today. I had something else, but we'll do that first. Mr. Zumis and myself attended the Pennsylvania State Association of the Township Supervisors Conference the past 2 days. We attended 5 workshops to learn to do different things here in Lower Paxton Township. Met a lot of people. There was about 3,500 people down there. So I myself had a great time. And it's just nice to meet new people. Are we going to do the thing with Mr. Hawk? Are they going to show that? There was a memorial yesterday morning for Mr. Hawk, who sat on the board here and passed away last July. And Mr. Wolf is just going to show you the memorial. And his wife accepted an award. He received the Founders Award, which is one of the highest awards through PSATs, and his wife, Billy, accepted that in his memory.
Former president of PSATs, right?
Yeah, he became president last year in April, and that was his number one goal, was to be president of PSATs, and unfortunately it only lasted for 3 months, but he made it. He wanted to be the president, and he was there. It's Mr. Zumis and myself with Mrs. Hawk after she had accepted the award. Can you just go back to the one before, George? Can you zoom in on that or no?
Let's go up the slideshow, right?
Okay, thank you. Well, no, we can't Zoom. I don't.
Okay.
And this was in Hershey, so right down the road
Yeah,
when you
this
say
was
2-day
at
conference.
at the Hershey Lodge. Yeah, the conference actually started on Sunday and it ends tomorrow.
There we go.
So they had a really nice picture. This picture was taken in Washington, D.C. It was the last picture when Mr. Hawk was in Washington that they had put up, and they did a memorial for him. It was very, very nice. And unfortunately, last night we lost a supervisor in Carbon County. They announced that this morning. One of the supervisors was passed away last night from a car accident. So it was 2 days, as Mr. Zumis says. I didn't know I was going to be tearing up. So, yeah.
You didn't warn me.
Yeah, it was great. Another thing I have is the Easter egg hunt on Saturday. Mr. Henry and I attended, and Mr. Henry was counting. So are we going to say 400 or 500 participants?
450?
450.
We'll go in the middle. We
No,
were
we-
trying to get an estimate of the crowd size, but people kept moving around.
Yeah. But thank you again to Parks and Recreation and to Terry Balknight and Barb Gallante. They did a wonderful job, and it was a beautiful day. Just want to congratulate the Colonial Park Fire Company on their 75 years, their celebration. The board will be attending, their celebration on May the 4th. And also at PSATS this week, if anybody's looking for a part-time job, they're looking for census takers. If you would like that, you could go to 2020census.gov/jobs. So they really, really need census takers because they want it to be as accurate as possible. I think that's all I have.
Okay, thank you.
Do you want to say anything?
Norm?
Just wanted to publicly thank my convention guide.
Ah,
Followed her around like a puppy dog. And
We had a great time.
yeah.
good.
It's just a great way to meet new people from all over the state.
Any comments from?
Yes, since I represented Lower Paxton Township last night at the Council of Governments on the West Shore, and Andrew Lewis was one of the speakers that presented last evening. One of the things that the group discussed was workforce development, which is major issue for not only here in our immediate area, but statewide and as well as nationally. And so, and how that can be worked, how it can be developed, how we can get our youth involved in workforce development. And that took a whole series of things. Of course, that really tied into volunteerism. We talked about prevailing wage, which is a major issue within being discussed in our state government, which obviously will have an impact on all of us, either as private business owners or even in the public sector as well. And then thirdly, the stormwater management that all of us are dealing with. There will be a roundtable at South Middleton Township Building on May the 14th at 8:30. And I've shared that information with Mr. Gutshaw that perhaps he may want to attend or at least send one of our staff members to be in attendance to benefit from any of the discussion that may occur there. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Gary, if I may, thank you for filling in for me. I appreciate it.
Always a pleasure.
Thank you. Mr. Judd, do you have anything to add, or you're good? Okay, with that, we will move to the manager's report, where we have a pinch hitter this evening. Mr. Wolf, is there anything you would like to add to the discussion?
I have just two additional items of interest to the community, Mr. Chairman. The first is Lower Paxton Township has been very fortunate that the Colonial Park Rotary took on a community project and reestablished the bocce courts in Coons Park. They began 2 years ago and completed the courts last year, and league play began last year. This year, the Rotarians, in conjunction with the Department of Parks and Recreation, are conducting a summer bocce league, and registration for the summer bocce league is now ongoing, and play will actually begin April 24th and will continue through to August 7th. Play will be occurring, games will be played weeknights and other times of interest, and they'll begin at 4:30 and continue through the early evening. For more information, of course, contact Parks and Recreation or Rick Ziders. And again, this is a very fun event for those who not only like bocce, but for those who just like to socialize and enjoy one of Lower Paxton Township's nicest parks. And then, board members, the Lower Paxton Township Friendship Center will have its kids' yard sale on April 20th, April 27th, rain or shine. Registration, pre-registration to be a vendor at the yard sale must be made by April 20th. And again, the yard sale on April 27th will be from 9 a.m. to noon. Again, this is only for children, and for children 5 to 16 to sell their items, toys, games, collectibles, clothing, bikes, that sort of thing.
Mr. Wolf, if it rains, I know it says rain or shine, will that be inside then, or everything will be?
Yes, typically when, if it rains, they'll take these things inside to the gymnasium.
Very good. Thank you, Mr. Wolf. We'll move now to old business, and our first and only item of old business is to take action on Resolution 2019-08. This would authorize the submission of a grant application to the Pennsylvania Commonwealth Financing Authority for a watershed restoration and protection grant. Mr. Wolf, you have information for us on that?
Yes, board members, this grant application is for the project that we refer to in-house as the Stonebridge Project. It's for a stream restoration project through private property with a cooperative property owner at the Stonebridge Apartments across from the Colonial Park Mall. This grant application is requesting an award of $300,000 to be matched by nearly $100,000 worth of township funds for the restoration project. The Commonwealth Financing Authority is the entity. The program, of course, is the Watershed Restoration and Protection Grant Program. Lower Paxton Township did submit into this program last year, but we were unsuccessful due to the fact that at that time we did not have a complete agreement with the property owner for his contribution, use of his land to do the project. Property was in transit at that point in time. We do have that agreement at this point in time with the property owner. We do believe we have a competitive grant application, and we request that the board act favorably on the resolution this evening.
Okay, any questions?
Mr. Wolf, where does the Asylum Run stream start? Do you know?
Asylum Run stream in Lower Paxton which were the headwaters of, basically starts at the mall.
At the mall, okay.
So this is what we would say is a stormwater.
Correct.
Falls under the billing of stormwater project and the ultimate process that we're going through to reduce stormwater runoff and meet the new requirements for our stormwater permit.
Absolutely, board members, and this project is contained within the township's Paxton Creek and Chesapeake Bay pollution reduction plans, and it is also part of your 2019 budget, not your budget, the Township Authority's 2019 budget for stormwater improvements.
And people always ask the very reasonable question, how much, why the fee? Why stormwater fee? Why can't you get money from the state? Are you applying for grants? So we will apply for every grant out there. It's the state and federal governments, they administer these things, they impose these things, but getting these grants, there's unfortunately few and far between, but we'll definitely take this one.
Any additional questions or comments from board members? Questions or comments from the public? Seeing none, is there a motion?
Yes, let's get this submitted. Mr. Chairman, I'll move we approve Resolution 2019-08, which authorizes the submission of the grant application to the Pennsylvania Commonwealth Finance Authority for a watershed restoration and protection grant as presented by Mr. Wolf.
Motion is on the floor. Is there a second?
I'll second it.
Moved and seconded. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Thank you. We'll now move to item 8, which is new business, and we need to take action on Resolution 2019-07. This would authorize the disposition of specified records in compliance with the Pennsylvania Municipal Records Manual. Mr. Wolf, it seems like every time you're here, we're destroying records of some
We're
sort.
destroying records. These were my records too, so
they were your
feel free to destroy them.
And this is so straightforward.
Yes, it is.
Mr. Chairman, I'll move we approve Resolution 2019-07, which authorizes the disposition of the specified records in compliance with the Pennsylvania Municipal Records Manual as presented.
So moved. Is there a second?
Second.
Any public comment? Have to ask. Seeing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Item B is approval of a proposal by Approved Code Services. This for the renewal of the current agreement that provides for PAUCC building code services for an additional term of 1 year.
Board members, a little over a year ago, you took a detailed process issuing a request for proposals to provide Lower Paxton Township with code services, plan reviews for construction activity, and building inspection activities. You selected approved code services for a year's worth of work, and they have provided us with a year's worth of work, and we have found at staff level their services to be acceptable. Our request for proposals included the statement that it was a contract term of 1 year with the potential for the annual renewal based upon negotiated rates of service. Approved Code Services in your packet has provided correspondence which states that they would be willing to provide 1 or 2 years as desired by the board. They've attached their new fee schedule, which will not change, remain the same as the current fee schedule in place. So staff would request that the board take action to renew this service with Approved Code Services, and the board has the option of 1 year or 2 years.
If we do 2 years, it'll be the same price the second year.
Right, it's fixed for
Yes.
2 years. I assume staff is recommending we approve the 2 years. Is-
Staff would like that, yes.
Yes, okay.
So,
And-
go ahead, I'm sorry.
No, the only other question, and I'm certain, but nonetheless, I need a confirmation. In the contract for services 1.1, the negotiated is typed out or crossed out, correct? Because we have proposed rates as
You
opposed
do,
to
correct.
So I'm assuming that should be, as I'm reading it, it should be X'd out in the final document.
Correct.
Thank you.
You know,
So-
George, did they go up at all?
Do they?
No,
No,
they didn't go up
no.
from the last. That's right, you said. I'm sorry. You're right.
They,
Okay.
their rate schedule remains unchanged.
Okay.
Rates are unchanged, and your staff is happy with the.
Correct.
service. Okay.
We'll do 2 years.
And if we do 2 years, we keep the rates unchanged for 2 more years.
Correct.
Right, we can negotiate another 2-year contract at the same rates we've had for these 2 years.
Would somebody like to make a motion?
Mr. Chairman, I'll move we approve the proposal by Approved Code Services for the renewal of the current agreement providing PA UCC building code services for an additional 2 years at the fixed rate for 2 years.
Is there a second?
Second.
Moved and seconded. Any additional board comments or questions? Any public comment or questions? Seeing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Thank you. That takes us to item C, subdivision and land development, where we have improvement guarantees this evening. There are 3 of them, and they all appear to be relatively routine.
They're all extensions, so.
Yeah.
They are all extensions, board members. Although none of the extensions are proposed to increase, they were all reviewed by the engineer 1 year ago, and they were established at an increased rate last year.
Okay, that's straightforward. Mr. Chairman, I'll move we approve the 3 improvement guarantees as presented, and that each is an extension.
It has been moved that we approve the improvement guarantees. Is there a second?
I'll second it.
Moved and seconded. All in favor, please signify by saying aye.
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 That takes us to the payment of bills of Lower Paxton Township and the Lower Paxton Township Authority. Madam Treasurer.
Yes, I make a motion that we pay the bills of Lower Paxton Township and Lower Paxton Township Authority.
Is there a second?
Second.
Moved and seconded. All in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Would board members have any additional announcements? Seeing none, we will have our next meeting on Tuesday, May 7th, 2019 at 7 p.m. With that, is there a motion to adjourn?
So moved, Mr. Chairman.
So moved. Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Thank you. Meeting adjourned.
Thank you.
Say one more thing if I could. I was looking up that rabies statistics